What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. We're on FS25. I did film a video initially my first time playing this game. Might put it up, might not, who knows. Yeah, what we're gonna cover in this video is Ohio State versus Oregon round 2. We're gonna cover the Rose Bowl in this game. I know I quit doing kind of doing the whole like prediction score, talking about football after like week 3 because I just didn't have the time to do it. Plus, trying to film videos and then put them up, and it's got to be a little bit of a hassle. So maybe I'll do a better job of it next season. But yeah, I already filmed this video once, but unfortunately with this game I forgot to adjust the sounds of the equipment. So basically the sounds of the tractors and everything drowned out my voice. So you could barely hear what I was saying, so that sucks. So now we're doing this again. And I never like doing videos twice because I feel like the first time is better because it's raw and it's just, I don't know, it feels way better in my opinion when it's the first time it's filmed. If I have to do any redos, it just doesn't seem as genuine, if that makes any sense. But yeah, we're gonna go over my thoughts on the Rose Bowl, this matchup being played again, and the 3 key to success for both teams and what they have to do to win. So it should be a pretty fun video. So we will start off with Ohio State. The 3 things I think they need to do to be able to win this football game. Number 1, they're going to have to get Dylan Gabriel off of his game. I don't know how they're going to do that. Whether it's clogging up the passing lanes, whether it's sacking him, knocking the ball down at the line, some way, some form, they're going to have to get him off of his game. Because I know a lot of Ohio State people, they don't want to hear this, and they just keep wanting to bring up, we didn't get no pressure. We didn't get no blitzes, no pressure on Gabriel the first game. Yeah, you did. It's the fact that the man gets the ball out of his hands in 2 seconds is what killed it for you. I mean, you kind of got in the backfield. You didn't get, it wasn't effective. That's the problem, is they got pressure there. It's just, how do you pressure a man who throws the ball in 2 seconds? Because this isn't me saying, this is Will Stein, the offensive coordinator. The goal for Gabriel, and it was the same thing with Bo Nix last year, get the ball and throw it in 2 seconds. That's about the time frame. 2 seconds. And it should be coming out of his hand. And it's like, how do you sack a man who throws the ball that fast? It's very, very hard to. I don't know. Some people don't realize this, but if your identity is get the ball and throw it, it's going to be very hard to sack somebody who doesn't have the ball and who throws it so quickly. And a lot of the time, because I know a lot of Ohio State fans don't watch Oregon football like this, he don't even have the laces when he's throwing this ball. He has the bottom of the ball and he's throwing it, that's incredible to do that and be successful doing it. Now, he's not throwing it 50 yards like that, but he's throwing it 10 yards and these dink and dunk passes we love to do. He's doing that. And I don't think some people realize how hard it is to throw a football when you're not grabbing the laces. You're grabbing the bottom side of the ball. It's incredible to be able to do that. So, and he does a lot of that. So I think Ohio State's going to have to either clog up the passing lanes or they're going to have to disrupt him some way, somehow, if they're going to win this game. Second key thing I think Ohio State's going to have to do to be able to win this game is they're going to have a minimum of 150 rushing yards between Judkins, Henderson. It shouldn't be that hard of a problem to do, I wouldn't think. I feel more strongly about points 1 and 3 than I do 2, only because they were hellaciously outrushed in the Michigan game. They only had like 77, 79 yards against Nebraska. They ran for like 115 against Indiana. So I say 150, I think, is the magic number. If they hit that number, it's going to be very hard for them not to win this game, to be honest. I know they had a lot of success against Penn State running the ball, and they only outrushed Tennessee by 4 yards. It was 156 to 152, which I think was very interesting. And you see what they did to Tennessee. So I just think if you don't run the ball for that many yards, it's hard to opening up the passing game as much if you don't run for a good amount, and it'd be effective runs too. Like one long blast at 80 yards I don't think is good, because that's kind of what happened the first game. Is Henderson, the 122 of their yards come in the first quarter, and they only rushed for 19 in the second half of the game. So, and they had a lot of their yards came on two big chunk plays. So it's like it's not effective when you do it that way. Versus if you're getting like 7, 5, 6, 9 yards, like just spread out like that to equal it up, it does more damage, I think, than one big play does. So. But I think 150 is going to be your magic number. I mean, even if you get 20 of that from Will Howard, that works too. But I think 150 is going to be about the number for Ohio State, I think, to win this game. I mean, they ran for 156 on Tennessee and absolutely broke the scoreboard on them. So I say 150 is probably about where you're going to have to be if you're going to win this game. I think so. I think anything south of 100, it's going to be very tough to win if they don't rush for over 100. Which on this Oregon defense shouldn't be hard to do. I mean, Penn State ran for almost 300 on them, which was crazy. So, Ohio State had 141 the first game, so it should not be hard to do that the second go around. If anything, I think it'd be easier just because of what Oregon showed in the Penn State game. So, definitely look to see them run the ball a little bit differently this game than the first round, and definitely get that 150 mark, I would say. My third key to the game, and what I think Ohio State's going to have to do to win this game, is they're going to have to be the more physical team. And Ohio State's physicality has kind of been up and down all year. I know a lot of real Buckeye fans don't want to hear this, but it really has. Like, the physicality of this team has kind of been sus at times. It was really sus against Michigan. Nebraska, you could even say, because they only had 79 rushing yards. So I think they're going to have to be the more physical team up front if they want to win, especially in offense. I think it's real. They're going to have to be really physical in offense, I think, if they're going to win, or else Oregon's going to get in their backfield, and who knows what's going to happen then. If Oregon's defense starts getting in Will's face. So they have to be more physical up front. I know Ryan Day loves to preach about how tough they are. They're a tough team, and it's like, dude, don't talk about it. Go out there and show it. Show us you're a tough team. Quit trying to fight 90-year-old Lou Holtz about how tough you are. Go prove it. Just go show us. I think a lot of real Buckeye fans would like to see that. Just don't talk about how tough you are. Just go show us how tough you are. And I think they're going to have to be tough up front. Like, really physical up front to win this game. I watched their spring game, and I know the teams are all mixed up with personnels and stuff, but I just didn't really think they were that physical in their spring game. Their hand motion was not really violent or nothing like that. So, and I know Ryan wouldn't let them tackle in spring football, which got some pushback from other fan bases, especially Michigan's fan base. So that wasn't a good look, I don't think. But I understand why they didn't do it, because they didn't want to get nobody hurt, because they've had problems in the past with people getting hurt in fall camps and stuff like that. Braxton Miller was a good example. You lost him for the year because he got hurt in fall camp that year. But they're going to have to be very physical up front, very physical. If they don't do that, it's going to be hard for them to win. So I think it's going to come to who's being more physical up front for sure. But I'd say on their offensive line is where they're going to have to be the most physical. Some would argue the defense, but however, I think the offense is where they're really going to have to be physical, which may be a challenge because they are missing Seth McLaughlin, I think I got his name right, and Josh Simon. So it's going to be very interesting to see how well this offensive line can do, because I don't know how to gauge Tennessee, because Tennessee played in a lot of one-score games this year. They were not good on the road. They lost to Georgia by 14 on the road. I don't know how. I mean now they beat that Oklahoma team by 10 points. It was 25-15. But Oklahoma just got beat by, Navy the other day. So I really don't know how to gauge Tennessee, to be honest. I kind of think they were a garbage team. However, I did like what I saw from Ohio State's offense that game. They looked really good. I'm not going to discredit them at all. They looked really good. I think probably the best they've looked all season. So, and they come out off the Michigan loss. Everybody told them they sucked. So they had every motivation in the world. Last game in the shoe for them seniors. So they came out with something to prove. They've lost that element now because they played a good game, so you kind of lose that factor. of, coming out and playing angry. So we'll see what they do this game. So now here's my 3 keys to victory for Oregon. You have to win the O-line. So talking Oregon's defensive line has to beat Ohio State's offensive line and get Will Howard behind the sticks. They got to get Ohio State behind the sticks. Look at how Michigan beat them. Michigan got them in 3rd and long, like 3rd and 12s, because your playbook changes a lot between 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 12. The playbook is way more open at 3rd and 3 because you could possibly run the ball, you could run jet sweeps, you can do all kinds of stuff. You're not running a jet sweep on 3rd and 12. It's probably not going to happen. It's going to be a passing down. Everybody knows it, so I mean, you could run the ball, but I don't know how wise that is to do it. It all depends on the situation, but more than likely passing down. So Michigan got them in a lot of situations like that. They got them behind the sticks because I know a lot of people are complaining about, oh, they didn't throw the ball. They threw it 33 times in that game, so it's not like Will Howard didn't throw the ball. He did. That was the second most he's thrown it all season. The first game, or the number one game he threw the most in was against Oregon with 35, and I think he had 29 attempts versus Tennessee. So it's not like he didn't throw the ball, because he did. So they're going to have to get through that offensive line, get in the backfield, and you don't necessarily have to sack Will Howard. However, you do need to speed up his clock. Because if you're speeding up his clock and none of your receivers are open, it really makes it tougher for him to either A, throw an accurate pass, or he might you could force him into making a bad decision and getting an interception off him. He has 9 on the year. Gabriel has 6. So he had an interception against Michigan. He had a pick 6. He almost had a pick six against Michigan, but he had a big pick 6 against Penn State. So it's not like it's not impossible to pressure him into a bad decision. So that's why I say Oregon's defensive line, they have got to be beyond physical up front with these guys. They're down 2 offensive linemen. So Channing Frye, I believe, number 70 or 74, I can't remember which number he wears. I know his ankle. I think he was the one that had to tape his ankle up in the Tennessee game. So I mean, Coach Day says he's good to go. However, you never really know if that's a lie or not. But so I would say Oregon's defensive line needs to bring their best game all year. You can't play like you did against Penn State, give up 300 yards. They have to get in the backfield and get after Will Howard. I would like to see him sack him, but they definitely need to get back there and disrupt the passing and speed up Will's clock, I think, in order to be able to pull out this win, is they're going to have to dominate up in the O-line. My second key, I think, to Oregon winning this game is Jordan James going to have 100 rushing yards by himself. That's not counting whatever Dylan Gabriel is going to do if he decides to run. I mean, I think Dylan's a pretty good runner. They won't let him do it for some reason. I don't get it. I mean, he's not big enough the way Dylan wants to run, but he can run it, and he showed it against them the first game. And he showed it against, I believe it was UCLA. They ran a QB option, and he went for a touchdown. But he can run the ball. He's got 7 rushing touchdowns this year, but I think Jordan James is going to have about 100 yards himself if they want to win this game. That's not including whatever Gabriel is going to do and whatever Noah Whittington is going to do. Because Noah can hurt you just as bad as James can. James is just more fun to watch, in my opinion, I guess. And it's very tough for me to say this because I love when Whittington is on, he's on. But it seems like Jordan James, I'm going to say, a little bit more consistent than Whittington. Whittington can he can have big spurts and do really good, or he'll get stuck up at the line of scrimmage and get minimum like 1 to 2 yards. Jordan James, when you hand that guy the ball, he just seems like he's going for 4 or more each time. I mean, that dude runs hard. He's not afraid to drag 4 guys with him. He's a big physical back. He runs hard and he runs mad, and I just love watching him play. So I think Jordan James, if he gets 100 yards, or pretty close to that number, I think it's going to be tough to beat him. And I would say the same thing about Oregon as I just said about Ohio State, is both of these teams, I think, to beat the other one, they're going to have a minimum of 150 yards. Around that 150 mark is what I think to beat the other team. Now, if they both do that, then it comes down to one of the other key factors. And I think it's whoever gets more of these, like whoever gets out of these 3 the most is going to win this game. I I think it's going to be your biggest factor, or is what I think. So Jordan James 100 yards, and it'd be very hard to see them lose, because if they're getting 100 yards on the ground, then I think it opens up the passing game quite a bit. And the same thing could be said for Ohio State, because these two teams are so evenly matched on paper. It's ridiculous. There's weapons for days on either side, on either team. I would hate to be Jim Knowles or Taj Hupoi and having to come up with, how are we going to stop their offense? I would not want to be either one of those two, because there's so many weapons on either side. Who knows who could get the ball at any point. I mean, Tez Johnson can get the ball. You go to Shadiq. I mean, Evan Stewart, T. Ferg, Jordan James, Dylan could do it all himself. You just never know. There's so many weapons. And then same thing on the other side. You don't know if Jeremiah Smith's going to get the ball, if they're going to give it to Henderson, Judkins, or if Will Howard's going to beat you up with his feet. You just never know. There's so many weapons on either side. It's a damn shame that this game has to happen so early in this bracket. I was really hoping Ohio State would get on the other side of the bracket, so then this could be like a national title caliber game, because this is what it feels like. I mean, by far the two most exciting teams in this playoff, I think. I mean, Penn State's also a pretty exciting team, but I don't think they have what it takes to win it all. These two teams, I think, do, because they have coaches who have either coached in a national title game as a head coach or as a coordinator. Because Dan Lanning coached as Georgia's defensive coordinator in the 2021 game, and then Taj Hupoi was Alabama's defensive coordinator in the 2015 national title game. So I think it's gonna be it's gonna be a crazy game. My third key for Oregon to win this game is they're gonna have to convert in the red zone. Whether that's getting Sadiq or T. Ferg more involved down there, or Patrick, getting the tight ends more involved, they're gonna have to convert in the red zone. We cannot have, because Oregon left about 55. They could have scored 55 total points. I added it up after I went back and looked at the first game, between missing the extra point, missing 2-point conversions. We missed Tez on a wide open 4th and goal, which turned into us turning the ball. We missed Tez. I mean, there was nobody even over there with him. He was wide open, and Dylan missed him. We had to settle for 3 on the 1-yard line, which put us up 32-31. And then we had a stall on 4th and goal as well. We cannot have that this game. We have got to play better in the red zone. And the red zone's been kind of a struggle all year, but they're going to have to convert. Convert down there especially, and then on third down. The third down conversion is going to have to be a lot better than what it was in the Penn State game. That's for sure if they're going to win this game. I would say they're going to have to convert probably 70% on third down if they want to win this game. A couple other things I think this game's going to come down to is turnover margin, because the first game we saw, it should have been 2 turnovers for Ohio State, but they didn't call the clear interception that was. I will throw the picture up right now. Bossa had that ball. That was an interception, so, because I know Ohio State loves to cry about the 1 second. Okay, we'll give you your 1 second, but you're going to give us back that interception that led to your first scoring drive. You're going to give us that back, so you can either lose by 1 or you can lose by 4, pending they make the kick. So I think turnovers are going to be a factor in this game. Who can not turn the ball over. And it goes in hand with my third little point of playing clean, like, taking care of the ball, not committing penalties. I don't think Trayshawn's going to spit in anybody's face this time. That was so stupid the first time. I can't believe he did that. But I think playing clean, least amount of penalties. You can't give up 100. Neither one of these teams can afford to give up 100 yards, free yards to the other one, and expect to win. It's just not going to happen. And then I think the other thing is coaching. The coach, the scale should be tipped so far in one direction, but it's just not. It should be clearly Ryan Day and Chip Kelly should be the favorites if it comes down to coaching, but they're just not. Dan Lanning, and as young as him and Taj Hupoi are, it's kind of scary that, some people would have a hard time picking between the two staffs here. Like, some people just don't trust Ryan Day. And, I mean, I don't disagree with them, considering what his track record is in some of these big games. It's very hard to trust Ryan. in some of these big time moments. And I think the other thing is against really good teams, it seems like Ryan Day kind of coaches more conservatively and to not lose, whereas Dan Lanning's going to go after it. If it's 4th and 3 on the 50-yard line, oh, we're going for it. There's no question. We are going for it. And Dan Lanning has shown that before. He's not afraid to run risk and take chances. It's in his blood. He's wild. He's crazy. He'll do stuff like that. Whereas he might push the envelope on Ryan Day to do something like that. I mean, when was the last time we saw Ryan Day run a trick play or do something like that in a big game? I mean, it's been a long time. Whereas Dan Lanning had no shame in drilling the ball at somebody in that first matchup, which was genius thinking, to be honest. We're going to kick it, we're going to blast it at somebody. If it bounces our way and we jump on it, we just stole possession. If we miss, we still pin them probably within the 25-yard line. So it was kind of win-win either way. The reward versus risk was not insane, so that's another reason why they did it. But I think it's also that is stealing possessions, because he did it against Colorado as well. They scored a touchdown, and then all of a sudden Colorado thinks they're going to get the ball back, and nope, here comes an onside kick, and they recover it. So stuff like that, Dan Lanning he's not afraid to do stuff like that. So I think if it comes down to coaching, I've even heard a lot of Buckeye fans say, it's very hard to trust Ryan Day, considering what his track record is. I don't know how much trust they have in these guys, and I know all the analysts on ESPN and stuff like that, a lot of them also agree that basically if it comes down to coaching, they got to go with Dan Lanning. As young as he is, they trust him more with this, and it's hard to disagree with that. I know Buckeye fans aren't going to want to hear that. The real ones, not the psycho crazy ones who think they're the best in the world and every season they should be undefeated and win it all. The unrealistic ones, but the real ones. I think this game is really going to be a make it or a break it for some of the real fans. The Tennessee game helped him tremendously, but I think a lot of fans, this is make it or break it for if they're going to back Ryan Day or not. If they really truly have his back, especially after the stunt with Michigan, this is it. I think. They're not going to fire the guy. I don't want them to fire the guy because he's a good coach. He just has some sort of mental problem against winning against Michigan, but he's a good coach. He just has a mental collapse when they play Michigan. And I don't agree with him just standing there when the flag planting was happening and not doing anything. He just standing like a deer in headlights. His world was spinning. You could just see it in his face. It was just like he was in another dimension. So, and I think a lot of people are on the fence with this. It's like if they win, then I think Ryan Day has gained everybody's support back. If he loses, who knows what happens? There's still going to be people who back him regardless, and then there's a lot of people who are. This is probably make it or break it for them with him. They're going to be over him if he loses this game. So, and I'm kind of agree with them people that it's kind of this is make it or break it for him. Ohio State is 0-4 against teams that are ranked 2 or higher. So that's some crazy stats out there. They got all-time wins against Oregon is a lot better, and vice versa. Ryan Day's yet to beat Oregon, so there's all kinds of little stats out there that don't mean anything that people like to look at. I just say go out and win the game. That's my thing. Just go out there and win. Bring your best against their best and just play the game. I'm just hoping for an exciting game is all I want to see. The Tennessee game was a complete letdown. I thought we were actually going to get a good game. The other games were just not fun to watch. I had high hopes for that last game. I thought it would be a good game. I think Ohio State has found something on offense, though, because they look to be in a totally different level in that game. So I think they have found something offensively, and I expect them to continue it in this game, to be honest. And I really want to see them come out on offense first. I really hope Oregon wins that coin toss and defers, because I want to see Ohio State's offense on the field first, because I really want to see if they can continue that hot hand. And I really want to see what Oregon's defensive line can do after getting thrashed by Penn State. So that's why I'm really hoping Oregon wins the coin toss. So then, because I know they'll defer, so and I really want to see what both of these teams, which Ohio State shows up out of the gate, and which Oregon team defensively shows up out of the gate. But as far as a score prediction, I'm gonna go with. I know who I'm gonna pick. Score-wise, it's very hard to predict scores in these games, in my opinion, but I would say give me Oregon at 34. I think they score 5 touchdowns. However, I think Dan Lanning goes for 2 somewhere in here, and he doesn't get it. So you're at 34. Give me Oregon at 34, and give me Ohio State at 38. Because I think they have to kick a field goal somewhere in the second quarter instead of getting a touchdown. But give me them 38, so 38-34. I think Ohio State wins this game. You know, I figured Oregon was going to win the first game out in Austin. I didn't see Ohio State winning out there. But I especially don't think Ohio State loses this game a second time. I just don't. You know, they've been gunning for these guys all year, so I fully expect Ohio State to come out and play a much better game this time. I mean, not that they played a bad game last time, but I think they're going to continue that hot hand on offense, and I think they're going to come out here and win this game. And then if they don't win 38-34, then they win 35-31. That's my second score prediction. I'd be very surprised if anybody gets to 40s. I'd be very surprised, actually. I'll also be very surprised if it's like a 2017 game, if it's a low-scoring affair. I'd be very surprised if this is a defensive game, to be honest. But I think the offenses are probably going to do pretty well. Hopefully. I want an exciting game. I don't want no blowout. I want something exciting to watch. And regardless of what happens, I'm going to be so proud of this Oregon team no matter what. It won 13 games. It won the Big Ten in the first year. Everybody said you couldn't play with the Big Ten. You couldn't match the physicality. And you couldn't go to Wisconsin when it's freezing cold and duke it out and win the game. And they did. They beat Wisconsin. They beat Michigan. They beat Penn State. They beat Ohio State. They beat Michigan State. So anybody that's won the conference in the last 15 years, they beat all of them in season 1, and that's damn incredible. So, and they won the Big Ten, so tied the school record at 13 wins. So regardless of what this outcome of the Rose Bowl is, I'm going to be so proud of this game. We're so proud of this Oregon team. We've had a really good year. We got up to number 1 about midway through the season and stayed up at number 1. And I'm just going to be so proud of what this team has accomplished all year. Regardless of the outcome of this Rose Bowl, I'm just hoping that if we're going to lose, I just hope we go down swinging. I mean, we went down swinging against Washington last year in a game where I really thought they were going to blow them off the face of the earth in the Pac-12 title game when they got rematched up with them. But we went down swinging, that's for sure. We just got off to such a slow start. You know, we had 3 offensive plays the first 15 minutes of that game, and I think that's really what killed it, because Washington was up 10-0. So I just hope they go down swinging if we lose this game. And another kind of useless stat, everyone wants to talk about, it's hard to beat a team twice. Well, the only team to win, not lose twice in the same season as somebody is Alabama. They beat LSU. LSU won the first matchup, and then in a rematch, Alabama won the second time. Same thing happened against Georgia in 21. I believe Georgia won the first matchup and won the SEC, but Alabama won the second game in the national title game. Alabama won the second. So Alabama is the only team to not lose twice in the same year to somebody. So another kind of useless stat there. And with the greatest coach ever, Nick Saban, but Utah beat USC twice in the same year. Washington beat Oregon twice last year. Back in the early 2000s, there was another team. I can't remember who it was. They beat the same team twice in a year. And then there was one other one. I know. Basically, when 2 teams are matched up again in the same year, the team that won the first time it's a 4-6. So they're 4 out of 6. So basically, those 2 Alabama teams were the only ones, and this has only happened 6 times. So 4 for 6. So another kind of useless stat out there in the world. But yeah, I'm just hoping for a really exciting Rose Bowl game, and we'll see. We'll see which teams show up. You know, if Ohio State, the hot team from the Tennessee game, shows up, or we'll see if Oregon's really rusty from being off for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is. So, regardless, I'm just hoping for a great matchup and a good game, and I hope it comes down to the wire like it did the last time. So, but yeah, it's gonna be it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. So, thank you guys so much for watching.